like deep dive a little bit as to
Mm-hmm.
what I meant at the meeting, and I'm gonna be a little bit more candid, so
Yep.
I don't scare the rest of the crowd off. Our processing is fucking dog shit, and that's me just
Okay.
being like, I don't mean like the SOPs, but um, I'm gonna give you this scenario, and maybe you'll understand why I'm being so drastic
Yep.
about it. Yesterday evening, we had a tanker parked outside of Mission Row PD. It was shot, exploded, subsequently, um, we we had some issues around comfort levels of opening fire on said individuals. Pretty much like me and two others had to take care of it alone. I know that it was fear of, let's say, getting booted, perhaps from Los Santos, and other nervy things that me and Commissioner are kind of looking into, letting folks know that, listen, command says open fire, you open fire. You ain't gonna get like stripped of your badge over it, right? Um, but the more important thing was that upon bringing these individuals into the cells, um, we had officers assigned to the 95s, and it kind of turned into a shit show. Now, this wasn't the only case, and I don't want to hammer on who did it and this and that, because this is more of a systematic issue, right? And fuck, we had another situation earlier where it was sort of the same problem, where let's say backpacks weren't checked, GSR wasn't checked.
So
Um,
people are skipping on doing things.
Precisely. Um, I have not been around for the majority of the time this department's been open since uh, the the economic collapse, or whatever you want to call it. But I sort of speculate that over the last little while, we have folks that maybe addicted to too much adrenaline and not seeing the merits of processing. And I can understand that, right? Because if you are, say, because I've been there, is if you're a general, let's say, patrol officer, right, attaching to calls, going for the adrenaline, it's easy to be like, oh, none of these things really matter until it does. And when it does, the importance goes skyrockets. And if you're not used to doing it right, you're going to do it wrong. Now, it
Yeah.
has been pointed to me, I don't know if it's true or not, I haven't had a chance to review it, that apparently the SOPs say X, Y, and Z. Some of those SOPs may or may not be, once again, I haven't verified, based on how things used to be back in the day. Um,
So I used to be captain back in the day.
mhm.
We droned it into people that they had to check. Like we didn't have backpacks then. We had containers and like rubbish bags.
Yep.
We told them, we drilled it into them that they still need to check every single container, every single bag, because
Mhm.
there could be they could have hidden evidence in there that we're looking for. So it's I don't know where it's coming from. I think it's just it seems like they're becoming lazy in their searching.
Interesting. Y-
So it's 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 always been a thing where we have to check every container. So now it's we have to check every bag. So I'm assuming that it's come down to laziness or just wanting to get it done real quick and get them out and gone so they can get back out.
Um, so when I talked to the commissioner yesterday, and I don't want to drill into too much of like the how, only because there's no way to ever get that answer, right? But I will say that I think that there's a bit of gaslighting taking place, and I came to that realization yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Is a lot of people aren't going to be used to me. I'm rather frank, and I have to be, right? Otherwise,
There's no
you know,
point beating around the bush.
precisely. And mm, I've realized after, so I'll tell you exactly what it was. Um, Yesterday, how I mentioned people are afraid of opening fire.
Yeah.
I'm not stupid. I've been around long enough. when I have 2 units on the chase, and I'm asking for officers to get in front of it. If I see you in Tersh Courtnary or whatever the fuck, and like you're not, and the chase is going on for 10 minutes, and we're going in circles, and there ain't no way you can get in front of that and open fire, I ain't hearing some like dumb shit. You didn't want to open fire. It's as simple as that. Now, ultimately, when I brought this up, it was inferred to me that this is not something we've ever done. I spoke with the commissioner. Turns out that is how things were done, and that we don't shoot out of cars. But I was led to believe that, oh, it's always been this way. So the reason I bring that up is I think we have to break officers out of the mold of getting too defensive out of the fear that we may fire them. And now I understand that the energy at the first like week or two was you fuck up, you're fired, which I think may have been perhaps a poor decision because it makes people perhaps think very binary like, as opposed to, yeah, you might get yelled at, but that's a wake up and correct, right? And unless there's like...
I'm like you. I won't fire you unless you've done something drastic. But I'll talk to you. I'll tell you. You know, you fucked up. I'm from Staff Sergeant Lane. His training. That my training comes from, because predominantly I was riding with him a lot, so I learned a lot, and I'm of the same mind as him.
Yeah.
If you fuck up, well, you fucked up. I'll tell you fucked up. But if you gone fucked up, well, you're fired.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I'll give you that chance.
I think what's important is that we give the correction and then give the expectation. Now, obviously, some of our expectations are a bit all over the place, which is something that we're trying to resolve right now, right? Whether it's like something is documented a certain way in the SOPs, it's been altered in shift meeting, et cetera, et cetera. So while we kind of get that pane of glass in, folks may get chewed out on something that were told one thing one day and another day. But ultimately, I think if I don't know how to get there exactly, which is, let's say you chewed someone out and I chewed them out for the opposite, right? Ultimately, they need to know that they're not just going to get, booted. You're going to get ripped on at some point. It's just the nature of the beast of what a PD is. And that the most important thing is that they at least listen, adhere, and attempt their best. And I think if they fall into that formula, they're going to be perfectly fine unless they're completely irreparable, if that's a word.
Yeah.
But
I think something like what we're talking about should be spoken at like a shift change, or maybe we bring it up to like the commissioner and the other NCOs and staff sergeant and the captains.
Yeah.
And just be like, try and get every one of us on this, like you've been trying to do.
Yeah, and I think that's why we're sort of tackling like one big issue at a time instead of changing the world. That's why I didn't like this. We stand in there and we give them 6 corrective things, right? Because no one's going to learn 6 things at once, nor will it give us the ability to like deep dive a resolution in it. And that's why like processing right now is like, I think, the utmost importance. And once we have a solid foundation there and the majority know how to do it per the expectations that we're setting forth, then we can move on to the next thing and then the next thing.
I also think we need to work on that fear that people have that they will be fired.
I agree, because I think the danger is I'm getting a lot of defensive mechanisms immediately firing off of like excuses and gaslighting. And I'm going to be honest with you, that pisses me off more than anything, because that's usually a sign that there's not listening, but more like, I'm doing it right. I don't care what you say. And to me, that is a quick actual boot out. Right?
Yeah.
Because you can take anyone, right, and mold them if they're willing to mold. But not if you're kind of
saying you can't help someone if they don't want to be helped.
Precisely. Yeah. All right, but yeah. Anyways, that's the big thing, is the processing. I do have Who did I assign to it? I think Gus and Nayumi. Is it not Narumi? Narumi.
Not Rumi.
To kind of work on like jotting down what their current processing looks like, and that exercise is going to tell me like what do they think it's supposed to be, and then I'm going to sort of guide it into a full-on document. Yes, it may not go onto the slides, but that's okay because I want it to be extremely thorough. Little things that I heard is like we are not currently documenting folks' pockets, which I feel is very scary to me because if I'm a defense attorney, I'm gonna. Yep.
I'll say that we've never really done that, so that would be a new thing that would be implementing because like I've never done that. So
do you know? So I'll tell you why I did it, and I'm curious how y'all solved it. Is if you do not document what's in someone's pockets, how do you know whose stuff it was? How do you prove in the court that there wasn't a mishandling of evidence?
You got me there.
Yeah. So if I was a defense attorney, that's the first thing I'm going to tackle. Are you sure it was his gun? I'm pretty sure it was the other guy. And then now all of a sudden, you know, who's going to say it was what? Because what's likely going to happen is it's going to result in a cop lying on the stand.
True.
Yeah.
The only things we actually did document in that sort of way was trunks of cars, the glove box. If we had to breach their apartments, houses, we did document all that. We just didn't document what they had on them.
Gotcha.
Which I don't understand now why we didn't if we did all the others.
Yeah.
That now makes me go, oh, we should have probably been doing that too.
The other thing that I noticed was vehicle VINs and such aren't being documented. Now, I will say that I think part of why this might be happening is we've gotten new tools, right? I'm assuming it's new because I haven't seen this ever before. So, for example, we have the camera.
The MDT is completely new. The camera is completely... We had a camera before, but it didn't work as brilliantly as this one.
Well, so let's say, for example, and that's exactly it. Like, so now our camera automatically makes it easy to attach a photograph to a report, right?
You can also add the car.
Yes.
If you look in, like I did it with my one of my cadets. We got their car and it was their car, so we linked it to the report and we got him.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They apparently, because I wasn't there, but they apparently found him in a working van, like a postal van, and they chased him down and they got him through that way, and they looked up everything and they got him.
So I think with it being so easy to use, I think it's equally easy to in turn skip steps, right? So it's like, all this stuff comes on the camera roll. So now all of a sudden using like ShareX to take a photo of the this and the that becomes really difficult. Or not difficult, but it's like 3 extra steps. You got to fucking open up your shit. And then you got to like, I don't even know if most people even know how to do this, but in the event you don't, you go to the profile and then you go my photo reel and then you can add the photos. So with all that being said,
and you can even add external ones too.
Yes, and that's exactly what I mean.
And it's like I think when we train people to use the MDT, I think we're going to have to go. Well, we'll have to push it onto the FTOs to do, because if we do academies, that just makes it longer, and then it doesn't give the FTOs anything to do other than just drive around with them. So whereas if we get the FTOs to show them how to use the MDT,
and that's kind of why I want to.
It makes them feel important.
It does.
That's a big thing. I think we need to make our FTOs feel important, and we value them, because we do. We value everybody that we have to get trained.
But to the point of processing, when we're not all, I don't even know if I want to say we're not necessarily, while we might be 80% there, we're not on the same page across the board on what processing should look like. Then our FTOs aren't going to even know. So I think
Exactly.
by getting a very detailed document on processing, which does not need to be a part of the SOPs, it could literally just be a link. We can then also look at that and then be, because the fear was yesterday, man, processing going to take too long. I'm like, bruh, don't worry about that shit, because if something is too cumbersome, we can literally get tools to make certain. By outlining it out, I can literally be like, yo, camera guy, go make 3, 4, 5, and 6 steps combined into one button press. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I think the other fear is when they talk about trying to get it done like and moved quicker is because they do get told to be in and out of MRPD. We don't hang around. I think that kind of needs to change.
wait, say that one more time.
So we push that they don't hang around MRPD, that they're not in MRPD hanging around or like just being in MRPD for too long. But I think we need to change
Nah.
the verbiage.
Yeah, I don't think we should have
don't hang
that.
Don't hang around MRPD unless you're processing.
I really
Because we had the issue where people would just hang about MRPD doing nothing, and I think it just got overwhelming. And
yeah, that's the age-old problem.
So I think the verbiage just needs to be changed. Unless you're processing, don't hang around MRPD. Go out and patrol. Because I think it's got mixed and muddled where they now think, oh, I've got to get this processing done real quick because I've got to get out on the road because I can't be here. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
I do, but here's kind of where I'm going to give a contrary opinion to this. Is right now we are balancing people's enjoyment and doing work, right? And we don't have the numbers to necessarily and part of our job is managing feelings, as much as I might hate to say that out loud, because everyone comes from a different walk of life, and sometimes even like a scolding is taken very personally, for lack of a better way of putting it. And
I'll honestly be I'm the first one to admit that I don't like being yelled at. That's one of my things that I don't like.
I think some people don't even like to hear things sternly. You know what I mean? They're like, wait, hold on a second, my fucking fragile ego. Personally, I ain't got time for that shit, right? I got a job to do. And it's a privilege to be a part of the force, and ego cannot outdo privilege. But there is this reality where even myself, like, you know, I'm in the office over there, you know, watching cat videos. Let's say I was an officer and someone came in and was like, Knight, what the fuck are you doing in the office? I'd be like, fuck this guy. And I would feel justified in that moment because I just got done spending 3 hours dealing with shit. So the balance becomes, where I'm trying to go at with is sometimes people are relaxing and also doing work. And so while there are going to be some Mission Row PD Andes that literally just water cool all day, which I think that it's better to identify said individuals by their history of arrests and reports and deal with them separately and make Mission Row a place where they can hang out and be on duty more often. Because even if, let's say, they're spending 50% of the time in Mission Row, there is plenty to do here, and they're available for when needed. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I know what you mean.
I'm okay with us not. I'd rather deal with that on an individual level, because those people will stand out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, that's kind of where we're at right now. I think that's going to be the big thing is processing, and the second is scene control. That's the other thing we talked about is when we have these calls, we want folks to notate that they're going to be scene lead. They note it.
Usually it's the first on scene.
First on scene, yep.
But they can pass it off if they're negotiating. They could be like, well, can you take scene lead?
Yes, absolutely. and then to tack up. And then finally, I have been monitoring, and shit's got to get locked in on like PDMs and such.
Yeah.
Some of that shit's
I
getting a
actually
little
haven't
loosey
even
goosey.
done a PDM yet. I haven't.
It's it's
'Cause,
not a bad
I'm
call.
not in the, I'm not in the shift that usually gets it. Like in the AU, we usually just get shootings and that's about it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I think
it's a
there's
pretty
more
quiet
groups getting you know, getting the knowledge how to do it, for lack of I don't know what the limiting factor is, but I have noticed that groups I wouldn't expect, not to rate them or anything, but let's just say there's more of it going off. Like I think we responded to 3. The only thing is, and this is kind of the holding the line thing, I don't even know who the fuck it was, but you know, whatever, it gets to be my example now. I went to a PDM and I had some like motherfucker like say something to the effect of, I heard him on the radio. I get on scene to this, right? And scene lead goes, I'm going to deal with the hostages, and you got, I don't know what the fuck he said. It was like some of the laziest shit I've ever heard. And I'm like, all right. And I threw another cop on it. I'm okay with us passing as command, lead off to somebody else. Fact of the matter is this, right? We're going to have a diversity of officers. Not all of them are going to be great scene leads. And when it comes to PDM and higher level calls, we need to maintain a higher level of standard on that scene, because otherwise our vaults are going to turn into like, you know, Family Guy episodes, which is not good for anybody. So,
No.
Are you picking up on what I'm putting down with that, by the way?
Yeah, no, I'm definitely picking up what you're putting down. Those sort of scenes, they need someone that can be stronger in a lead role.
Stronger in a lead, directing.
Direct orders.
Yes, that's exactly it.
Because you need it. Like, as I think it was Donovan, she said someone gave great comms to at one of those scenes that allowed them to, you know, be on their ass the entire time. So that whoever that person was, I want to find them so that we can, you know, give them the ups that they deserve.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Like, you're not gonna put, who's a cop that I like? I'm not gonna put Alana as a murder scene. If Alana is the primary, okay, disclaimer, Alana wants to be a investigator down the line, but there's nothing against her personally. But right now, we have a murder scene. You're not putting Alana on that, you know?
Yeah, no, her focus is...
Yeah. She has other things to kind of focus on, and not everyone's set up for it. Even though she might be one day, but, like, it's just not, you know, otherwise that...
build up to it. I haven't interacted with her very much, but...
She's a project.
Yes, I think she's a very big one because her back talking.
Yeah.
Her superiors. That's one thing that gets under my belt. I will clamp it if I hear it. She's lucky I haven't heard it yet. And I heard that she is also very personable towards certain officers, like that are her superiors, not calling them by their, like, you know, like you, Chief, or Commissioner Cassidy, but calling them by first names. Outside of work, that's fine. Inside work, no. That's a no.
Yeah.
I'm not for that.
Someone like Alana, you got to just, you know, kick her down a notch. You know what I mean? But here's the thing.
If I hear it, I will.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be like, I'm like a bulldog with a bone.
Yeah.
I will not stop unless, you know.
Yep, I agree. Well, the thing is, I can promise you this: you knock her down, she's not going to get in her feelings. So, which is a good thing. You know what I mean? I'm not saying turn her into a punching bag, but what I'm saying is you ain't got to worry about that with her.
Yeah, no, it'll just be if she's, you know, because it's all about a respect thing.
Yep.
You earned your title. You deserve to be called by your title.
Yep.
If she's friends with you outside of work, then that's fine. You do what you like outside of work, but when you're in work, you got to maintain that professionalism.
Agreed. All right, I appreciate you. Thank you, Rain. Rain, right, with an R.
Rain. Yeah. It's still Kane until they change it. I've got that in the process, but I would prefer everyone to call me Rain.
Rain. Okay, easy. All right, Rain. You take care.